Hello grade 9, for today's lesson, we will be discussing another way of solving quadratic equations, and that is, solving quadratic equations by factoring. For our learning objective, solve quadratic equations by factoring. Let us have an example in solving quadratic equation by factoring. Let us find the value of the variable in the equation, x squared plus 12x equals negative 11. The first step is, we have to transform the equation into standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and that is, x squared plus 12x plus 11 equals 0. The second step is, to factor the quadratic expression, x squared plus 12x plus 11 equals 0, and that is, first, factor the x squared. Then copy the common sign which is positive. Then the factor of 11 is 11 and 1. Thus we have quantity x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 11 equals 0. Then the third step is to apply the zero product property by setting each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. Thus we have x plus 1 equals 0 and x plus 11 equals 0. The next step is to solve each resulting equation. First, we have x plus 1 equals 0, and by subtraction property of equality, we have x equals negative 1. Then, we have x plus 11 equals 0, and by subtraction property of equality, we have x equals negative 11. Thus, we have two values of x, and they are negative 1 and negative 11. Now, let us check. We have the original equation x squared plus 12x equals negative 11. For the first value of x, we have x equals negative 1. By substitution, we have negative 1 squared plus 12 times negative 1 equals negative 11. Negative 1 squared is positive 1, 12 times negative 1 is negative 12 equals negative 11. 1 minus 12 equals negative 11. Thus, negative 11 equals negative 11. For the second value of x we have, x equals negative 11. By substitution, we have, negative 11 squared plus 12 times negative 11 equals negative 11. Then we have, 121 minus 132 equals negative 11. Thus, negative 11 equals negative 11. We have another example, 2y squared plus 2y minus 12 equals 0. First, transform the equation into standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And that is still, 2y squared plus 2y minus 12 equals 0. Next, let us factor the quadratic expression, 2y squared plus 2y minus 12 equals 0. The factors of 2y squared are 2y and y. Then since the sign of the third term is negative, we have negative and positive signs. Then the factors of 12 are 4 and 3. Thus, we have quantity 2y minus 4 times quantity y plus 3 equals 0. Then, we apply the zero product property by setting each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. Thus, we have 2y minus 4 equals 0, and y plus 3 equals 0. Next step is to solve each resulting equation. For 2y minus 4 equals 0, by subtraction property of equality, we have 2y equals 4. Then divide both sides of the equation by 2. 2y divided by 2, then cancel 2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. Thus, y equals 2. For y plus 3 equals 0. By subtraction property of equality, we have y equals negative 3. Now, let us check. The equation is 2y squared plus 2y minus 12 equals 0. For y equals 2, by substitution, we have 2 times 2 squared, plus 2 times 2, minus 12 equals 0. 2 times 4, plus 4, minus 12, equals 0. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 4, minus 12, equals 0. 8 plus 4 is 12, minus 12, equals 0. Thus, 0 equals 0. For y equals negative 3. By substitution, we have 2 times negative 3 squared, plus 2 times negative 3 minus 12 equals 0. 2 times 9 minus 6 minus 12 equals 0. 2 times 9 is 18, minus 6 minus 12 equals 0. 18 minus 6 is 12, minus 12 equals 0. Thus, 0 equals 0. Another example, find the value of the variable 3x squared plus 24x equals 0. First step, transform the equation into standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Still we have 3x squared plus 24x equals 0. Next step, factor the quadratic expression 3x squared plus 24x equals 0. By GCF, our greatest common factor, we have 3x as the GCF. 3x squared divided by 3x is x, plus 24x divided by 3x is 8. Thus, we have 3x times quantity x plus 8 equals 0. The next step is, we apply the zero product property by setting each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. Thus, we have 3x equals 0, and x plus 8 equals 0. The next step is to solve each resulting equation. For 3x equals 0, divide both sides of the equation by 3. 3x divided by 3. Cancel 3. 0 divided by 3 equals 0. Thus, we have x equals 0. For x plus 8 equals 0. By subtraction property of equality, we have x equals negative 8. Now let us check. The equation is 3x squared plus 24x equals 0. For x equals 0. By substitution, we have 3 times 0 squared plus 24 times 0 equals 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Plus 24 times 0 is 0 equals 0. Thus, 0 equals 0. For x equals negative 8. By substitution, we have 3 times negative 8 squared plus 24 times negative 8 equals 0. 3 times negative 8 squared is 64, minus 192 equals 0. 3 times 64 is 192, minus 192 equals 0. 192 minus 192 is 0. Thus, 0 equals 0. Now, to master your skills in solving quadratic equation by factoring, let us try this. Find the value of the variable by factoring.